What's going on, everybody? I hope you all are having a great day. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Tanner. I've had this 2014 CRF250L for about 2 years now, and I've put it through a lot. A lot of people like to talk down on this bike, make excuses, but it's capable of a lot, and I've really pushed this thing to its limits, and I plan to do a lot more of that in the future. So if you're into the 250L and you haven't already, make sure you subscribe down below, turn those notifications on, and let's get into this video. So in today's video, I'm gonna be showing you guys how to replace your clutch in your 250L. The clutch actually never went bad on this bike. I swapped this clutch into a CB300F that I bought that had a burn up clutch. A beginner rider had it and it was just completely burn up. So I actually robbed this clutch to fix that bike. Now there's a lot of engines very similar to this, but I swapped all the parts from the bad clutch into this bike just so I would remember where everything went. We are also gonna be removing the Judder spring. It's these two thin metal springs that are behind all of the plates, and a lot of people remove that and say they get a way better clutch feel and it's bitier. So we're gonna do that and I'm gonna give you my opinion. I went ahead and got a clutch plate kit from EBC. Very reputable company. I've used their products before and I've always been satisfied. So I'll go ahead and drop a link down to this below. 2-day shipping, man, you can't beat that. Actually, that might have shipped in 1 day. Amazon, you're killing it. But let's go ahead and get into this. Normally, you'd want to do this with a clean bike. If you know me, my bikes are never clean for the most part, and especially now since my power washer's broken. But all these bolts are loose already. You're gonna want to loosen everything by hand. There's a lot of soft aluminum, and you can strip these bolts really easily, so just be careful. But first things first, you want to drain the oil out of it. I've already done that, but there's the drain plug right there. Go ahead and drain that. Also, you're gonna have to drain your coolant. The drain bolt has an arrow next to it right here. So what I normally do is loosen that, take it all the way out. Coolant will most likely not come out until you take the cap off the radiator. So usually I just take that off, get my drain pan ready, crack the top, drain all the coolant, and the next step is to go around the cover and take out all the bolts. So there's 14 total that you need to take out. Don't worry too much about it, just keep track of everything. What I normally do is I'll start with this one and I'll just lay them down in order. So when I go to put them all back, I know, boom, that first one I laid there, and then go all the way around clockwise. Like I said, don't worry about things like that. Just keep track of your stuff and just go for it. Let's get her done. So I thought I drained the oil, but apparently not. I think I just put it on its side to do it, so that explains this mess. Yep, I didn't drain it. Whoops. I was wondering why this thing was leaking like a sieve. Man, that's fresh oil too, that's a bummer. As you can see, I already have the brake lever off, so you're gonna wanna take that off as well. You're gonna want to take your radiator hose off. And a lot of the times you'll have to hit it with like a rubber mallet or wood or something, or maybe you won't, to get that gasket to break loose. This whole thing just comes off like such. So the gasket honestly wasn't too bad. There's a rip there. I probably just could have got away with putting some gasket maker on the bad parts and used it, but you know what, better safe than sorry. All right, up next, we're gonna take these bolts off, which hold down the clutch springs. I'm gonna use an impact again. They're already loose, so just do this at your own risk. Now just grab it by this pin. This plate slides off, and then here are the clutch plates. So these are all in the same order. It goes friction plate, followed by steel plate. So just take everything out. Depending on the kit you buy, it might come with steel plates, but I don't recommend doing that. Even these are pretty burnt up, but I'll show you how to clean them up here in a bit. Okay, so then you have the smaller friction plate in the back, and we'll talk about that here in a bit. But behind that is your Judder spring. And you don't have to do this, you can just leave it in, but I'm gonna remove this. The first one comes off. And Judder spring is gone. So this is the condition of my old plates. These things are toast. Now this is from the CB300F, like I said, and if you know how to ride, I highly doubt that this will ever happen. Look at that thing, that's a friction plate. pretty bad. So this is the last friction plate before the judder spring. Now you notice it's smaller because I believe this friction plate sits up against that judder spring. So from what I've heard, when removing the judder spring, people replace this friction plate with a full size one. But if you just want to remove the judder spring and you don't need new plates, I'd say it's just fine to reuse this one. Woo! Let's see the goods. So to clean up these glazed and burnt plates, we're just gonna rub it on the concrete. This is what the internet told me to do, so it must be right. So before I did this, they were pretty glazed over. I read this online somewhere, so you might not want to do it. Don't listen to me, but you know what? I like being a guinea pig, so we'll see if it helps. But they were glazed over before and they were super slick, so I'd imagine that caused the clutch to slip, but we'll find out. Now, a lot of people will soak these friction plates for days, but from everything that I've read online, it's not necessary. As long as you lubricate them before you put them in, they'll be fine. And this oil that I just drained was actually brand new oil, so I'm just gonna use that. I'm gonna dip my finger in there, get it all nice and lubed up. And this is kind of a messy job, so keep that in mind. Boom. Move on down the line. Like I said, the friction plate goes first, followed by a steel plate, followed by a friction plate until you run out. And you'll have a total of 5 friction plates in there and 4 steel plates. Boom, easy as that. I'll go ahead and wipe my hands off. We're done with the messy part. Now these 2 dowels right here can come out and they have O-rings around them. The first time I did this, one of these O-rings fell out. So just make sure you keep track of everything. I'll say it again. And there's a couple that came out on the clutch cover there, for instance. So just keep track of everything. Go ahead and put the pressure plate back on. Springs on. I bought this bike used, but I believe they're the stock springs. I don't know why they're painted yellow. Maybe they're not. Maybe they're the Barnett springs, but I thought the Barnett was more of a gold, but maybe they just got so burnt that it looks like that. I don't know. Leave it down in the comments below what color your springs are. I'm gonna put a small dab of Loctite on all of them just for a personal sense of comfort. Not sure if it's necessary or not. Now you're gonna wanna tighten these in a crisp pattern. I'm just gonna snug these up, but if I can find it, I'll put the recommended torque spec on the screen now. If not, someone will leave it down in the comments below. Like I said, guys, people spend too much time worrying about things. Yes, I do believe you should torque certain things, but for the most part, just don't over tighten it. And if you use Loctite, you should be fine. Well, I ended up not even having to leave the house because Alexis was out and about and she picked up the gasket. I hope it's the right one. All right, so we got the right gasket. Here's the part number. I'll go ahead and drop it down in the description below if you want to pick one up. We're gonna get this old gasket off, get the surface cleaned up, new gasket on, put the brake lever back on, put the skid plate back on, fill her with oil, fill her with coolant, and then we'll be good to go. Now thankfully this gasket came off pretty clean, but I'm just gonna scrape the rest of it off with a razor blade and clean it up with some brake cleaner. I don't have any gasket cleaner, remover, whatever you wanna call it. Now when you're in here, you might as well take this screen out. Just check for oil shavings. A little bit of grime in there. This keeps draining a little bit of oil, so I hope I can get a good seal on that. I'm trying to lean the bike over a little bit. There we go. All right, let's go ahead and install it. Sweet. All right, let's go around and get some of these started. Scrape the mud off that before we install it. and top her off with oil. Should be about 1.6 quarts since I had it drained like completely. I use Valvoline 10W40 motorcycle oil. Excellent wet clutch protection. This is good stuff. I've always used it. Link down in the description below. Woo! She's a full one, bud. Well, that's it, everyone. That's how you change your clutch plates and your CRF250L. Like I said, most all bikes are the same way, so it's a good thing to know how to do. It's relatively easy, so it'll give you some confidence as far as working on other things in the future. So I definitely recommend doing it over taking it to the dealership. I don't even want to know what they charge you for it, but I'm in at like 50 bucks. Things to note, just keep track of everything like I said. Be organized. Watch out for those dowel pins and those few gaskets. Other than that, there's nothing to it. If you don't have tools, I'll leave a link down below to a basic, affordable kit. Everything else will be linked down in the description below, from the plates to the oil. Heck, I'll even throw the filter down there if you want to change your oil filter while you're doing this. You might as well. But I hope you enjoyed this video. Subscribe if you're not already. Plenty of CRF250L content to come. And I also have a CRF250L playlist from some of the best on this bike, so that'll be down in the description as well. Turn those notifications on so you don't miss out on anything. Leave a like on this video if it helped you out or you enjoyed watching. But now it's time for the real test. Let's see how it rides and how I like it without the Judder spring. We'll see what happens. Not gonna lie, you guys, I'm pretty nervous to see how this works, or if it works. Well, she rolls at least. Woo! You don't know how bad I miss riding this thing. The clutch is working like a dream. It's bitey. One thing I forgot to mention, set your gap. I forget what the tolerance is, but just eyeball it. She's good, boys. So my thoughts without the Judder spring, to be completely honest with you, I don't notice it a whole lot, but I can tell you that it is shifting smooth and the clutch feels really bitey. It's just been so long since I've ridden this bike, I can't really give a good reference, but from what I hear, everybody who's done it is extremely happy with it. And I do notice it a little bit. I mean, this thing doesn't miss a beat. So once I go out on a trail ride, I'll probably notice it a lot more. Those second gear clutch ups though. Well, looks like we're all good to go.